Hello.
Hello again.
Hello again.
Hello. Goedemiddag.
Goedemiddag. Who's here? Nobody's here. No, nobody's saying hello.
There's a zero.
There's a zero and nobody's saying hello.
We're all here.
But we're all here. June is here. Nilesh is here. Rojo is here. Matri is here, of course. Pooja.
There's Urban.
There's Urban. We collected an Urban.
It's still on zero. And Scott.
And the Scott. Hi, Scott. They're here, but they're not here.
Just like it's. Oh. I have a text.
Well, apparently we had snow flurries this morning, but mostly people were asleep. And it melted.
Who told you that?
Somebody who lives here on my Facebook feed is complaining about it.
Complaining about?
That everybody slept through the snowflakes.
We probably meditated through the snowflakes. Hello, Roseanne.
Do you know if you lost?
Rosalind. Oh, no, there's a Roseanne too. Hello. Yes, that's a big hello. Hello. Hi, BB. When are you going to get some sort of picture put up there? Hi. You could be like Ramanas and not even show anything revealing.
You can put up Swami Jay's picture.
Oh, God, no. Please don't do that. She would not do that. She's too classy a lady to fall into that trap. And there's Nellie. Hi, Nellie. Scott and his son had a snowball fight.
Awesome.
Who won?
Is there a winning in a snowball fight? I think it's...
Wait till we find some snowballs.
Oh.
I'm going to kick your ass.
Swamiji, it's not about winning in life. It's about complete enjoying.
But it appears to be about winning out here.
Only for those who are falsely identified with the ego.
But no, but for a yogi, it means I get to pretend.
Uh-huh.
You remember the stories of Swami Rama? He used to play poker.
Yeah, he cheated.
Cards with people.
He would cheat.
And he cheated.
Yeah.
He was a notorious cheater. I never played with him.
No, but you would easily make a good teammate with Swami with cheating.
Well, but see, that's part of the game of life.
I see you have not passed on that part of knowledge or experience. When is it coming in my training?
I don't know.
Oh, Yoda.
I've taught you about how to bet on Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, that's
games.
not going very well.
Well, but you're learning.
I lost $10 at the roulette table. I don't seem to be very good with betting, so I think I refrain from that. Plus, I've heard that that's a karma that you can't get rid of in this lifetime.
Snow always wins, says Ramana. Snow
I like that. The snow wins. Poor snow is being squished, moved around, thrown around, but yet it's unaffected.
All it does is melt and
burr. Yeah, it's very cold here too.
Did it snow in Savannah?
No, I don't think it snowed in Savannah. Did it snow in Savannah? Otherwise, you would have probably already told me.
I have hot chocolate, and my cup says joy to the world. Joy to the world.
The Lord is come.
Swamiji, look over there. Look. You see? You have to let go of that before
I'm not letting go. I know how this deal works.
Hi, Teria. Snow in Chicago, too. I bet.
Well, yeah, Chicago does get some snow. But they get a lot of slush, too.
Slush?
That wet stuff.
That becomes gray.
That becomes gray.
And then
dirt.
ice when it starts.
I enjoyed Chicago. I used to live in Chicago in the late 1970s.
Something is very magical when it's just freshly snow and the sound of the world is just all down.
Everything looks clean.
Yeah, even if it's on a
Not in Chicago.
even if it's on a nuclear plant. No, it doesn't snow here normally.
Did I hear an angel?
No. That was wrong.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the lambs in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Oreo, oh Oreos. Oh, how I like Oreos.
You just instantly busted your things, family. If you would have not done that, it would have.
It would
Scott is
look like
laughing.
Perfect lip syncing.
Raj
Oh.
gets it. Thank you, Raj. Thank you for.
Better.
Somebody has appreciation for my talent.
I am a little bit suspicious about Raj because one moment he backs up you, and then the other moment
That's-
he backs up me.
well,
I mean, that's
that's
cheating.
because he
That
has
is-
from time to time.
he already
From
got the
time to
lesson.
time, he has wise moments, and from time to time, he relapses. And the avidya takes over. This is how this works.
I have nothing to say
I
to
thought it
that.
was more like being happy with mommy and daddy both. You know? Mommy, how pretty you are. You have some chocolate, daddy.
Yeah, just remember who made you the hot chocolate sandwich.
I know all Rose songs, singing along.
Oh, nice.
Rosalind is singing along with you. You want to sing another song?
What do you want?
Another surprises. Christmas joy.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright.
Now you gotta laugh, Sandy.
Hey.
No, because she's laughing. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Rosalind is laughing too.
Aw. So we're gonna talk about something or other?
Let's talk about something or other.
What's something or other we got to talk about today?
I don't know what. I'll put it on. You can do the talking. You want to do the talking? Maybe I'll get out of the way and you and Ma can do the talking.
No, Samiji. That's people come here for you. You're just trying to be lazy. I know, then you will go to the ground and before you know it, off you are.
They'll be
Yoga
at
Nidra.
Yoga
an
Nidra.
unstable asana,
Yeah.
but practicing the advancement of
That was a burp with a time delay. The audio and the video is not really in sync.
Okay, there we go. There it
one of those
is.
bad synced movies.
This is very juicy, Samiji.
Okay, you want to talk about it?
No, I can read for you. You can interrupt me.
We can read it. But anyway, this is about meditation, contemplation, prayer, and mantra. And I'll give you, we've done this, we've gone through this before, but I'm inclined to give you forewarning that for each one of the four of these, I wrote down 4 bullet points.
She's sitting on the pig.
She sat on our pig.
That is the pig.
The pig. His name is the pig.
Remember, it happened before. Yeah.
And
then
that's
banana.
the banana.
Which is the little brother of a big banana who lives in Spain.
There's a big mama banana that's like this big.
Yeah.
Who lives in Spain. Anyway, you see, you are talking after all.
But it's not wisdom. So please make
It's
me
about-
shut up.
It's about bananas and pigs.
Yeah, please make me shut up.
What could be more wise than bananas and pigs?
That is only in the most advanced teaching, Swamiji. We're not there yet.
Oh my. Now,
Hi, Inika.
now wisdom is here. Inika is here with us. Inika will, in a couple words, succinctly tell us the wisdom of the ancient sages.
Om Tat Sat.
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate. I have some hot chocolate here. It's really quite yummy. It's almost all gone though.
Love, she says. Pretty good.
She just goes straight for the heart of it, you know.
Beautiful. There's Mir.
Hi, Mir.
Habaya Sabui, or I forgot what good afternoon is.
Abaya Sabir to you too.
We're broadcasting in the satsang group, aren't we?
Yes? Why?
I'm looking for it. There it is. I have it. Let it refresh.
Okay, good. Now Rojo's going to get on and type us a comment here. There we go. Hello, lovely people. Sounds like a song, Rojo.
Hello, hello, lovely people. There you go.
That was it. Anyway,
Converting.
I was telling everybody the secret here.
Please. We missed it.
For each one of these 4 things, I created 4 bullet points. And there's Rojo saying hi. And there's a hello everyone from Eileen. Hi, Eileen. Eileen, I'm hanging out here today with crazy people. They're giving me a hard time, particularly this one over here.
Aww.
Aw.
I'm off camera so they can't see me cry. I made you hot chocolate, and this is what
Oh,
I
and
get back.
it's fabulous hot
This is what I
chocolate.
get back. Bryce, are you on my side, or are you leaping back in ignorance again?
No. He has the wisdom.
There's Maya.
There's
He
mine.
wants me to be part of this show, but he always cuts me off of the image.
Yeah, thank you. Eileen understands. She's
I can't comment about that. I love Eileen.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
She's cool.
she's pretty cool. Anyway,
So the secret is so far that you have
the
4
secret,
things and 4
I'm
bullet
telling you
points.
that so that when you see, but previously when I've gone through this, I just go through it and I think people will connect that the 4 bullet points parallel one another.
But
But
now
then-
you're just
and
giving it
very-
straight up.
And now I'm just doing it straight up because I've noticed that I think it's like that when it goes that way, it's seen as a sort of, well, ho-hum, so what?
Huh.
The next order level of thinking. Make the connections.
Next door, what, Rojo?
The next extra order of thinking to make the connections. Like
Yeah,
that
it takes an
level.
extra order of thinking to make the connection. So I'm giving the connection first.
Thank you, sir.
And I made this nice little image here.
That one day I know
That one day
Ma
Matre
will get
will take
better.
the concept and we'll make it much better.
One day.
But notice, see, there's meditation, contemplation, prayer, and mantra, and there's 4 little red arrows that have motion in them.
So they can
And it's designating that they all go,
converge.
here, you want to do that again. Let them see, do that again.
But you have to do your hands too. So you do here. Your prayer and mantra, and I'm meditation and contemplation. So which side are we going? And they all go. One unified force.
One unified force. They all come together.
And you
You
gotta
know, we
switch because
keep-
they don't see the picture, Swamiji. They have
Well,
not
I
seen
know.
it. There.
There it is. You see, very creative concept.
Very creative.
Isn't
What
it?
is Terry saying? Ma, I don't see you whipping out your animations to-do list. No, I know.
Yeah, well, but let's look at this. What did she say again there? What did Terry say? I don't see you whipping out your animation to-do list.
But I am whipping out things, but they're all at the moment in Dutch. Not to defend myself, but that is what I'm doing. I'm working on a Dutch translation of the Bhagavad Gita right now. And I'm involved in that.
So you see, Terry, you got the same kind of answer that I got from her.
And then there is this upper management that wants to keep cracking out courses. Now we're really going off track. Let's go back to the article. No, we're having fun, but that to-do list is due to be manifesting. They converge like a whirlpool, but still are one whirlpool.
Can't see it, but now you can.
Yeah, that's true. Right. There you are. Just this, oh, yeah.
Which will go by in a moment.
If you do your one duty, then I'm okay with 50 years of.
It's just how the deal works.
Yeah, and that means that one day this finger will be.
But that's not up to me. I'm not in charge of that.
I know. But just one day it will. I'm doing my.
It's called Shakti Pat.
Mm,
Shakti.
that's sweet.
Shakti, pat.
I feel it.
Got it?
Got it.
So there you go. All right, should we look down this or should we just, I've given you the secret, maybe we should just stop here,
Should
huh?
I tell them what I put in the hot chocolate or not?
If you want. Mantri is going to tell you what she put in the hot chocolate. Okay, here we go.
Well, Pooja brought some green spices.
There is a bitter spice.
I'm sorry. I'm going off track right now.
You're now under the influence of Puja.
Oh.
It's a magical thing he brought, and I took one leaf of it, and look what happens. Very nice. You'll notice with lunch, some vinaigrette leaves, very tasty.
Okay.
I'll behave.
Okay. All right, you go ahead now.
Ivy, this is a really good article, so let's go through it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So there are two approaches of how to do with these four practices. There is the or the and version. And some people, they say that you either do one or the other or the other or the other. But just like in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna speaks to one person, Arjuna, and he has to do all the components. Also here we do and. And
Wow.
meditation and contemplation and prayer.
Wow.
And that's, even though one may have a preference, it just naturally seems to, they all seem to just pop up in a complete one single practice.
Mm-hmm.
So we merge, yeah.
Merged.
And so, and the same as Yoga Vedanta Tantra, in the sense we're never separated, in a sense, I don't think in this way also, but we can observe them and practice them seemingly different, so they converge in a more subtle
Okay,
aspects.
I'm listening. Carry on.
Yoga meditation of the Himalayas suggests training all of the levels of our being, senses, body, breath, and mind, and utilizes a variety of attitudes.
A variety.
Variety. What?
Variety.
Variety.
She put an extra R in there, Rojo.
Variety.
She turned it into a variety.
That's what they do in the Midwest.
More. It's more. Yeah. More draw. Variety.
But there's no second R.
Well, I can ask with a lot of words that there are no words in there or letters in there or letters. So let's not go into that. English is a weird
I
language.
think I'm going to go over on
No,
the
no, no, no,
floor.
no. Swamiji, please take over. Here, you have the mouse. You have the mouse. You feel it?
Come to the floor side.
You feel it. No, stay on the light side. Don't go to the dark side.
You're doing fine.
I know, but you're doing better.
No, you're doing fine. We still recognize predispositions, culture, and religion of individual aspirants. This we can do. One of the things I noticed in hanging around Swami Rama from time to time, somebody would go see him and he would say to this person, they would ask, visiting, the ashram, I'd ask about the temple down the street. There's a few temples just down the street from the ashram. And he'd say, don't go there. It's a waste of time. There's nothing in the temples. There's nothing to all these rituals. Don't waste your time with all this. Somebody else would come and the message would be, I want you to go to the temple every day. Every morning you start your day by going into the temple. What?
We talked about that for some that indeed going to church is what they need to do.
It's what's needed at the moment.
And so
it's stepping stones along the way.
Yes.
So the point there being that each person has a predisposition at a particular moment of their evolution or whatever you want to call it. Chooses the objects for meditation, the nature of contemplation, the emphasis of prayer, and the specific mantras that are used. All of those have where I am, where you are, has a bearing on which of these are most related. Mm-hmm. Yet, saying that, each one of us, what we do comes through in what we're doing. So for me, as I come together with all of you and talk, for me, for whatever reason, is this great inclination to talk about the unity that is within the diversity, that there really, really is only one. And so maybe that's my hang up, to keep coming back to that there's only one and that there is multiplicity.
And if there would be a rigid guideline of how to get there.
So I don't fall into only one. The culture of my youth, and I'm happy to say that I was not bombarded with this in my youth. One of the things that went well, I was not bombarded in my youth with this very common message in the country and the culture where I was born and raised that said, there's only one path, and if you don't follow that path, you're going to burn in hell for eternity. Forever and ever, says Rojo. Hallelujah. And so anyway, so that never resonated for me. So for me to follow some one particular prayer path that says it's only about this one face of the so-called divine or God or reality or truth, it's just completely unacceptable to me as a person. And the me as a person speaking is the pool of samskaras that defines me. Well, there's somebody else that particular face of reality speaks and draws that person very, very clearly. I have watched many, many people born and raised in the culture where I am in the United States who got very, very unhappy with the religion of their parents and the schools they were in. And they were Jewish people who turned against the rabbis and the synagogue. They were Christian people who totally turned away from Christianity. And what did they end up doing? Sitting in the park singing Hare Krishna. and not noticing what they had done. And I don't mean this as a critic, I really don't. What they had done is simply traded in the religion of their youth with the worship of this face of the divine. They threw away that face and got a new one. It's a disposable culture that we live in this country. So you use something for a while and then you throw it away. So I've met many, many people who took the face of the divine that they grew up with and threw it away. One of the questions that I heard in India that I personally tremendously admire, the people that I ran into, nobody would ever say, now I'm sitting here with a couple of people from India, and you might tell me I'm wrong, but in my experience, I never heard anybody say the question, what religion do you follow? But I have many, many times. One time I had occasion to be sitting. I was in Ujjain in India. You know Ujjain? I was a Swami from a foreign country. So this was newsworthy. The media came, television came, newspaper reporters came. And this guy asked the question, you'll know the question. Who is your Ishtadeva? And it's a beautiful, beautiful question. By the time this man asked me this, I had been familiar with this concept and quite liked it. It comes from the notion that the background stance of reality is the realization, even though people may not actively talk about it very much, everybody that I met in India already knows this. The background, the fallback position is that there is only one reality. So the question, who is your Ishtadeva, is acknowledging it doesn't matter who you follow. It's not that we're talking about polytheism, but we are recognizing that you're looking at one face that is a projection out of that one reality. And that's called an Ishtadeva. So who is your Ishtadeva?
Which face?
Huh?
Which face?
Which face of the one reality do you most feel drawn to? And which one do you practice? I knew a man in South India who was trying to teach people meditation of this tradition, a student of Swami Rama. And one of the problems that he would have there in marriages between husband and wife is that husband and wife had two different Ishtadevas. So one was a lover of Durga and the other was a lover of Krishna. And they would each follow the thing, but the husband and wife never spoke to each other. They were having trouble in the relationship. So how do you get them on track and have a good marriage and get to know each other better and all of this kind of good stuff? And one of the things he had this idea and he started doing is each partner agreed to 1 day a week sit in with the spouse on their puja to their Ishtadeva. So they would, that beautiful concept, he said it worked fabulously. So you would do your own thing, but then you would sit in 1 time a week with your spouse and sit in with his or her puja, doing their thing. And so it would help you learn for yourself that there really is one reality, and what your spouse is doing is okay, and stop trying to convert your spouse to your system.
See beyond that.
Isn't it common, those who know this, isn't it common to try to become the guru of your spouse? Somehow I know what my wife or my husband should do. And so, but anyway, this concept of Ishtadeva. Now to me, you're going to like this once I get this said here. I'm going to put this, I want to make sure you can see me here. And so what happened to you stole the cards. There's the card. Now, we all hang out together. What do we call this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is Vaishnavar Tejasa Prajna Turiya. One of the names of this is Turiya. In the tantric rendering, as we talk about it, what do we call this over here? We call it Tripura. We call it Maha Tripura Sundari. Out of the Saundarya Lahari. It's Maha means great. Sundari means beautiful, like the most absolutely awesome, incredibly beautiful there can be, the biggest beautiful that there is. And in the middle is Tripura. It's the one who dwells in 1, 2, 3 cities, Tripura. And so that is called Divine Mother. Doesn't mean a woman in the sky any more than Shiva means a blue-skinned dude sitting up in heaven or somewhere. Like, these are symbolic terms. But this reporter asked me in front of other reporters. There was a camera going, at least one, and people with their notepads, and this fellow asked me, who is your Ishtadeva? Get ready for this. I don't personally think of myself as having a statue-based icon Ishtadeva. It's not my thing. It's not whatever drew me. It's why I resisted that as a child when I grew up in a culture that said basically your Ishtadeva is supposed to be a man named Jesus who died 2,000 years ago. And it never sat well with me, so I never had that inclination. But I'm sitting there in Ujjain in front of a bunch of people, reporters and other people who are meeting for this thing. And the reporter asked me, who is your Ishtadeva? Now, I cannot take time. The total time together that we were supposed to have for my introduction and me to give a presentation on, I don't even remember what I was supposed to talk about, was 15 minutes. I had 15 minutes, and I would not be able to respond to this man's question in 15 hours, let alone 15 minutes. So I just had to give him an answer that would make him happy. And my answer to him, he says, who is your Ishtadeva? And I said, in front of a room of Indian people and reporters and the camera, said, Mahatripura Sundari. And they all were happy. And so they could write down, and so that's who my Ishtadeva was and is. Anyway, I'm saying that to you here in this conversation to say it's one of the beautiful things. Am I right, though? Is this common in India? Who is your Ishtadeva? They're both nodding at me. See,
Lord Shiva is always.
And so Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva, I'm not going to press personally hard on somebody who thinks of Lord Shiva as the Ishtadeva. There is some incredibly beautiful art of Shiva. You know, the blue-skinned guy, and he's holding a trident. And there's all sorts of other paraphernalia around. I don't remember at the moment exactly what all of it is. But the trident, huh? What? The trident, right? It's the stick with 3 prongs on it. It's like a big rake. It's like a big rake, for don't know that, with 3 things. What is it a symbol of? It's a symbol of Tripura. It's a symbol of waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and the silence of Turiya. That's what it is a symbol of. So all of Shiva is a beautiful, beautiful symbol of the one reality that manifests outward through the multiplicity, the appearance of Shakti. And it's an incredibly beautiful symbol. But for somebody from India whose Ishtadeva, family Ishtadeva, or 2 individuals is Lord Shiva. Note, he said Lord Shiva. He didn't say Shiva. I say Shiva. He said Lord Shiva. So now in his heart, in their heart, in the heart of Nilesh and Pooja, they may think of Lord Shiva as a being. And so you have some art. And there's a beautiful artist rendering of this tremendously handsome blue man holding his trident, and he's Lord Shiva. What I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with that. Now let me continue. What might be, I don't know what adjective to use. The higher insight would be to continue to use Lord Shiva as the Ishtadeva, but yet at the same time internally recognize the way in which Lord Shiva is a symbol of the one infinite non-dual reality. There's no conflict between Advaita Vedanta non-dualism that basically can be interpreted to say there's no such thing as deities, there's only Maya, there's only the appearance of deities. We need not have any conflict over that. So you get to hold on to Lord Shiva as a being. Somebody gets to hold on to Buddha as being a man to worship. I saw a thing in the news a few years ago. To me, it was kind of, this is overstating it, but it was a little shocking to me that somebody had constructed a Buddha statue somewhere in the world that was something over 100 feet tall. That's a pretty big statue, 30 meters. And the Dalai Lama was asked from Tibet, the Dalai Lama was asked to go there and be the special guest at the, what do you call it, inauguration or whatever it is, the celebration of the official opening, the completion of this statue. And there was a part of me that said, Dalai Lama, how can you, the wise man you are, be so silly as to go dedicate a stone statue? This is not what the Buddha was about. And it's a true statement. It's not what the Buddha was about. But for a lot of people, it's where they are today. And it serves as a reminder. So it's a 100-foot tall statue, stone statue of Buddha. There's nothing wrong with that. In my childhood, personally, I found it extremely distasteful that there was this picture off of the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in Rome. It's a picture of a bearded, gray-haired old man. We've all seen it. And his finger is sticking like this. And then there's a human man with, regular colored, brown colored skin. And the two fingers are touching. Everybody's seen it, right? And I thought, this is the God that these people believe in. It's a bearded old man somewhere in the sky. There were clouds around him. It was painted by Michelangelo a long time ago. And I found this thing just absolutely irritating. But now, years later, after understanding the notion of unity in diversity and understanding the notion of Ishtadeva and that these are symbols used to remind us along the journey, I have come to quite admire that same painting. That same painting on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, I now think, wow, that's pretty cool. And so it wasn't that in my youth I was so stupid that I did not know God was a bearded, gray-haired old man in the sky. And now in my old age, I have understood, yes, God is a bearded, gray-haired old man in the sky. But rather, I'm a yogi. I've come to see that all of these things are incredibly, if we see it in the right way, beautiful symbols that serve us, some of us as individual people, on our journey to where we can expand and grow and see more. Go take a look back at the videos we just did. We've been going through Swami Rama's Enlightenment Without God on Mandukya Upanishad. And in the introduction to that, you can get the book if you want, or we just did some videos. They're archived on the Ashram YouTube channel. And I went through some of those, some beautiful narrative in there of Swami Rama describing this process and the use for God with form. And he does a much more eloquent job of speaking of it than do I. Anyway, I just dragged you through all of that to say that when we're talking here about these four things about prayer, I was using that as an example. So we may each have a different emphasis on prayer. One day I was walking with Swami Rama. I actually remember when it was in the fall of 1994. And Swami Rama said to me one day walking, it wasn't part of a long conversation. It was just one of those comments that came out, boom. He said, you should do prayer 2 times a day. We were just walking along silently, and all of a sudden, bang, this came out. And a little bit of my sarcastic side came out at him. And I said, who do you want me to pray to? You? You want me to pray to you? And from inside of me, I meant it as a sarcastic comment. But that's not the way he took it. He didn't take it in any way. He just responded to me very simply, very lovingly, pray to the Lord of life within. Means I don't have to give it a name. It doesn't have to be the dude on the gray-haired man on the ceiling of the temple. It doesn't have to be Lord Shiva. It doesn't have to be Krishna standing in a chariot. It doesn't have to be a big Buddha statue sitting there. It doesn't matter who it is, was what he was basically telling me. Whoever or whatever that is inside of me, have a conversation with that. Talk to whoever that is. This is what I finally figured out that he was telling me to do. And a couple times a day, pause in the middle of the day and ask. And it doesn't matter whether I'm talking to the Lord of life within. And what I had actually, it gave me some validation that what I had actually been doing for quite a few years was on track. And it was basically something like this. You know, I'm suffering, I'm hurting. Look, if there's anybody listening could help, I could sure use a hand. I could sure use some help. It's a prayer. It's not a prayer to Buddha. It's not a prayer to Krishna. It's not a prayer to Lord Shiva. It's not a prayer to Jesus. But it's a prayer. And in some sense, it's a higher form because I'm not being so damn egotistical that I'm saying who I want to help me. The emphasis is I'm suffering and I need some help. There's the spirit of prayer. Pray to the Lord of life within. Yes. Not a new comment. The snake and the moon. Yeah, they look different than they seem to be. Thank you, Roseanne. It was sweet. It's all, to me, sweet experience. Anyway, so I'm starting by mentioning that one just because it caught my attention. You know, we very often hear meditation differentiated, one style of meditation from another. I do so-and-so meditation. I do Christian meditation. I meditate on Christ. You know, I went to a workshop on opening my heart, so I do heart chakra meditation. We have broken meditation up into parts, and yet there is one single universal process of meditation. Contemplation, there are many contemplations. I had somebody write to me recently about some aspect of contemplation that we were doing something with and said to me, well, this sounds like, it basically said it sounds like you're copying from the Zen koans. You know, what is the sound of one hand clapping? Have you ever heard of the Zen koans? I said, well, of course I've heard of the Zen koans, because contemplation is contemplation. It doesn't matter. Many people in this country where I am define meditation as read a verse in the Bible and think about it. And that's the definition of meditation. A lot of the dictionaries in English, you look up the word meditation and it tells you the description of what meditation is, includes the word contemplation. You look up the word contemplation and trying to define contemplation, it gives you the word meditation. And so it becomes very circular, as if we're not discerning between what the two are. So the practice of reading a verse out of a Bible or out of anything and then pondering it, it is what is called in the language we're talking about. This is a process called contemplation, and it is universal. Meditation is universal. Contemplation is universal. Prayer is universal. The use of what Swami Rama refers to as compact prayer or mantra, the use of mantra or using a so-called sacred word or a symbol like that is universal. When I talk to a Christian person who wants to learn something about meditation, they say, I want to keep my Christianity, and yet I'm drawn to what you're doing here with meditation. And I want to know how to do this. And this yoga stuff sounds interesting to me, but I don't want to become a Hindu, because forgetting that Hindu actually comes from a geographical cultural term, not a religious term. It was only labeled religion in the last couple hundred years. So what do? I will very commonly say, often I'll say to the person, do you know what the last instruction in the Bible is? And rarely does anybody know the answer to that question. I don't think it's ever happened when a person coming to me asking about meditation, I ask them, I don't think it's ever happened that anybody knew. And that Maranatha, June knows this. We've talked about this before a few times, I think. And it's a connecting point for all of us. There's an old trick that I heard somewhere years ago. if you want to understand any text, look at the first verse, the first sentence, or the first paragraph, and the last paragraph or the last sentence of any book. Look at the first page and the last page, and it'll tell you something about all the stuff that's in the middle. And so it's that principle. The last instruction of the Christian Bible is Maranatha, which means come, Lord. It's an invitation. Imagine what would happen if you were sitting quietly with your head, neck, and trunk straight in the line, and your body was still, and your breath was smooth, and your mind was calm. And internally, you either thought the word Maranatha or thought the feeling behind it, come. It's a feeling, is it not? It's a feeling that says come. It's an invitation. Come. You can feel it in your heart, right?
Opening.
You're opening. It's like you're standing there with your arms open saying, come. Come. And what actually you're saying is come from within. Come and enrich me. Come from within.
And come becomes Om.
And come becomes Om. And we can play with it a lot. And so that's the spirit of it. And so is there a difference? In some sense, no. Ultimately, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's the first instruction of the book of John in the Christian Bible. Vast majority of Christians that I've talked to don't know that. Why? Because they haven't read the book themselves. Instead of just listening to the preachers. Read it yourself and read it through the eyes of a yogi, and we find that most of these texts have incredible, incredible wisdom in them, and that align nicely with what we're doing. Seek the true nature of the meaning of yoga. Yoga means union, to reintegrate all of the aspects of our being that were never really divided in the first place. Thus, it is quite beneficial to work with all levels of our being and to utilize the full range of practices. Full range, but adapted to individual needs. So, does Nilesh need to throw away Lord Shiva and adopt Mr. Buddha or Mr. Krishna or Mr. Jesus? No, it's ridiculous. Individual needs. To deal with all levels through such a full range of practice is the true meaning of yoga. And I acknowledge, I wrote the sentence, but I acknowledge not everybody agrees with that. And that's okay too. Everybody has the right. As these practices of meditation, contemplation, prayer, and mantra progress to their subtler stages, they become increasingly powerful as a team, moving one to the height of spiritual awakening. And that's the picture that I made. This, as I pondered with this years ago, I kept thinking, there's got to be a way to visually capture this. And that comes from Swami Rama's instruction. You may have seen it. I put on my website an article I call Inspiration. And I used a couple Swami Rama instructions as the basis of my personal inspiration. It was really a note to self when I put this up, when I first wrote this. And he said something like, the teachings must be put in as simple of terms as possible so that all people may benefit. And that stuck with me. And so it's a guiding process for me. I don't claim to always succeed, but it's the attempt to try to do this. And that was the principle of this thing here that we're looking. There's got to be some way to talk about how these are not in conflict. One said, well, I don't do contemplation. Intellectual people do that. They sit around and think all day long. They are Sanskrit scholars. All they do is analyze books, or they go to Bible school and they just have debates. I do meditation. I don't waste my time with either one of those. I just pray to so-and-so and I'll be happy. I pray to God, so-and-so, make me happy, and all that kind of thing. Anyway, so here's meditation. What I'm going to do here, I'm the shortcut version here. I'm just going to go through each one of these and look only at the bullet points. Notice that what I said is that each one goes through only 4 bullet points, and they intentionally are designed in such a way that you can see the parallel. Meditation may start with concentration on identifiable objects or words, then shifts to their non-objective forms, such as the light or sound which constructs the object, then leads to the subtler joy-producing essence or meaning of that object, or moves still deeper into beingness or existence itself. Can you feel that motion through the 4 bullet points? I hope so. Now I'm going to do contemplation. 4 bullet points only. Contemplation may start with a verbal thought process. It deepens to quiet reflection, later bringing intuitive wisdom, and then lead to a formless knowing. That's the principle. Each one of these you have to pause and think about, although you got to contemplate on to get it to make sense. Prayer may start by being repetitive and standardized in a traditional way.
And I don't see that picture.
Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. Ma just reminded me you're not seeing that. I'm going to go back and do that again.
Maybe remove the comment.
Remove the comment? Yeah, thank you. It's a nice comment, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So sweet. I'm going to remove the sweetness. We'll just have the sweetness here. Thank you. And so, meditation. So here are the 4 again. Meditation may start with concentration on identifiable objects or words, then shift to non-objective forms such as light or sound which constructs the object, then lead to the subtler joy-producing essence or meaning of the object, or move still deeper into beingness or existence itself. Contemplation.
Leela's on. Hi, Leela.
Leela is on. Hi. Hi, Leela. Leela is on. I don't see Leela. Contemplation may start with a verbal thought process, deepen to quiet reflection, later bring intuitive wisdom, which is nonverbal, and then lead to a formless knowing, which is totally nonverbal. Prayer. Prayer may start by being repetitive and standardized in a traditional way, then shift more to a verbal and spontaneous inner relationship, sometimes called communion. Then, I got that. No, never mind. Stay with it. Then develop to a deeper nonverbal feeling of love and devotion, and then transform into a still deeper communion. I hope this is making sense to you. I didn't want to drag you through a lot of words. Mantra. At first, it may be spoken externally or internally. Later, it is heard or attended to internally. Still later, it is experienced as a syllable-less feeling, or finally experienced as a pervasive awareness that leads to its source. Converging. As each of the practices deepen in their own special ways, meditation, contemplation, prayer, and mantra integrate with one another in a dance of the heart and an orchestra of their individuality and synergy. Meditation objects are experienced more in their essence rather than being seen or thought of in gross material ways. Contemplation brings intuition that is nonverbal, non-visual, and non-auditory. It is pure knowing that begins to come. Prayer moves from repeating standardized oral prayers past verbal dialogue with the divine to silent communion. Mantra transitions from speaking syllables to listening, to feeling, to constant awareness, and to soundless sound. The practices of meditation, contemplation, prayer, and mantra begin to merge into one another. What at first seemed like very different practices are now seeming to be only most subtly differentiated. The two stances of experience coming forward, the coming forward of intuition and contemplation and the divinity in prayer, and of attention following inward of meditation and mantra, combine in their intensity. Together, the practices form two synergistic forces. One, a powerful magnetism that pulls one further inwards towards the absolute reality. As two, the absolute reality seems to come forward at the same time. Finally, as meditation, contemplation, prayer, and mantra each reach their subtler stages, they converge into one laser-like force field of concentrated awareness, which then pierces the final barrier into the realization of the self, the absolute reality. The state of deep inner silence from which the higher knowing, paravidya, begins to come is called samahitam. It is the final launching pad or jumping off place for the direct experience of the absolute reality. And that's the end of the story. Okay? And there we go. And there's the symbol. We have one of those in a picture form in a frame that sits in the dining room. It mostly gets ignored, but it's sitting there as a reminder.
I was thinking about that yesterday, that we should hang them.
We should hang them. Yeah, they're sitting there just propped up because when we moved into the
We still
ashram
have to just
5
put
or
a
6
few-
years
few
ago, we
nails
just
in
never
the
put
wall.
nails in the wall to hold them up.
We should do that.
So they ended up just sitting there leaned there.
Mhm.
Maybe we can find some artistic, creative person with a hammer and a nail and figure out where they should.
Someone who studied computer science.
Maybe get a computer geek to do it, huh? I was thinking of an artistic inclined person, but maybe if we can team up the artist with the engineer, we can come up with a good combination.
I think that would work.
It's a good idea. Anyway,
If a individual is just focused on one of those four,
if a person is focused on just one, yeah,
and they are very dedicated and sincere in that one point, the others will eventually come into that practice, or when they merged into that final fourth point of it, it all is the same anyway. I don't know what my question is, but
yeah, but I hear your question.
Someone
My
stuck or they will get there?
tendency is to agree with you. And I'm going to respond to you in this way that you will know exactly what I'm saying. We know a friend in common who used to question, what is the meaning of Ishvara? What is the meaning of Ishvara? And if he follows his inclination far enough, the question will evaporate. And the question of meditation, contemplation, prayer, and mantra as different things and that are different from me and what I'm doing will disappear. And we'll start to do all of them and see that there is this integration. I know it's a funny way of responding to that, but I think that if we follow any one of these far enough, it will bring you to the doorway of the other. It has to, because they all came out of one reality. There's only one. There is just only one. There is a new resurgence. If any of you who are keeping any eye on the news at all is probably aware of the political stance within the last few days that the President of the United States has made a public statement to the world about Jerusalem and is triggering tremendous arguments and fights amongst people out in the world. And to me, it's absolutely heartbreaking. Jerusalem is a centerpiece for all Jews, all Christians, all Muslims. It is a very focal point of their traditions. And it's just, to me, I say this as a yogi, it's absolutely heartbreaking that those three major groups of people that account for billions of human beings cannot simply see it doesn't matter. We all come from the same one source. We all grow out of the same ground. And yet here we are fighting, and the fighting will not end. The hatred just won't stop when it seems to be utterly obvious that that there's only one reality. And that all of these are ways back that some human beings are following back to that one. It's just, to me, heartbreaking. Why can we as a humanity not see that? I know the answer to that is avidya. I understand that. And it's maya, it's illusion, and it's ignorance. Ignorance not meaning people are stupid, but avidya, the way we keep talking about it yogically, that is not, it's not seeing the vidya, the knowing, clearly. It's just heartbreaking to me. So all of these are like this little symbol here. It's just a little picture that all of these, whichever version, so to speak, or brand name of meditation, mantra, contemplation, or prayer that we use, eventually it all goes back to the same one ground out of which it emerged in the first place. And to say that in response to the way I said that the beginning of a book and the end of the book will tell you something. If you look at the beginning, if you look at the very beginning of the Christian book, it tells you that everything came out of one. And the last instruction is come back. There is no conflict. There need be no conflict. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents worth. Om Namah Shivaya. And so Om Namah Shivaya. Om Tat Sat. This is. So there we are. So is Om Tat Sat a religious statement? No, it's not. It's not. Meditation, contemplation, prayer, and mantra of whatever form we choose to do it, and whichever one has predominance for us, we can practice it and we can allow them to converge. Anyway. Something wise to say, Mom?
What just happened was that the syllable of my mantra came through my mind, and I realized how long it has been without words. So I was actually a little bit shocked. Like, huh? Oh, that was it. Sorry, that really just happened just now.
Just now.
Yeah. So
the awareness was there, and suddenly you remembered the word.
Yeah, and I said, "Who is that? Oh, yeah, that's the word, so to speak." Sorry.
So it has so thoroughly taken you inward to the point beyond words that you were forgetting the words.
Yeah. And
Good.
it was a little bit weird.
It's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
That's what happens with Shiva or Buddha. We come to be aware of that which is underlying the thing to which it points. And then sometimes we say, oops, I forgot about the symbol.
I've heard that theory, so to speak, but when it literally just happened,
wow, this shit's not just theory.
It's weird. Like, how could I have sort of forgotten that syllable?
How did I overlook that?
Yeah.
Yep, cool.
Okay.
Perfect ending.
Okay.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
And that's where somebody eventually goes back and says, oh, wait a minute, I remember now. Shiva's that blue-skinned guy with the trident. Cool. Yeah. I got so immersed in the subtler, deeper, truer, ultimately truer meaning of the word Shiva that I forgot that there's also a symbol of that guy, and those artists that painted that did a beautiful job.
They do. And the Shiva Lingam is an amazing
symbol.
Symbol, indeed.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for hanging out, everybody. And tonight is what? Another
episode.
Another episode of the Mandukya Upanishad, I think.
Yes.
Yes. The journey through Om.
Om. And tomorrow
we will have Sunday morning satsang, and then tomorrow afternoon we will have Preacher Leela. Thank you,
can
Mir,
listen
for
to her
hanging out.
in the car. She'll be radio.
And there is an Om Tat Sat. Which do you want, an Om Tat Sat or an Om Namah Shivaya?
Let's do Om Namah Shivaya. We have not had that
Okay,
one.
Roz, you're tough
But
luck.
they
No
mean the
Om Tat
same.
Sat today. They mean the same thing. When we come to see that the meaning of Shiva and the meaning of Sat are essentially one and the same.
Mia, quickly put la ila ila la in there. And then we
There's
can have
another
that.
one. There's another one too. I find that absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, if he's quick, then that can be the last word. I know he's there.
Too late. We
Too
got
late?
Om Namah Shivaya.
Ah.
We know that it means the same
Same as
thing.
that.
It all points in the same direction. It's all pointing toward this.
Yeah, and now if people are typing, you need to scroll up. We don't need to do anything but there. What else is
Boy, busy, busy, busy.
Yeah.
Of course.
there you go. La ila ila la.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank
There
you.
is only one, and some call he, she, or it Allah. Same story, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Same as Om Tat Sat.
And
Same as Om Namah Shivaya. You know, we don't have to go out in the world and try to convince the rest of the people that those are saying the same thing. That's not what's important. What is important is what's going on inside of our own heart. And we all in this conversation know that. Huh?
That we remember.
That
Yeah,
we
that's
remember
the
that. And then maybe that will somehow have a positive influence on others, such as on a Rojo who's taking a nap. No, she's over there texting. She's with us, so. Okay. Bye, all. See you later. Thank you again for hanging out.
Smile.
I didn't turn it on. We'll turn this on and see we've got an Om Namah Shivaya under us, and we're smiling, and we have a circle chart, and we have over there, it's off the edge of the page, but see it, but that's kind of okay.
But it's here.
It's there. She likes to put a really big one there.
There.
There we have Sat or Shiva or Allah, or pick your name.
Pick your name.
Pick your
Pick
name.
your Ishtadeva.
Pick your Ishtadeva. No, that's not Ishtadeva. The Ishtadeva is that which leads to
it.
that.
Yes, because Allah indeed would not be considered. Doesn't have
So.
any form.
Bye-bye, all.
Bye.
Or as the Dutchies say, dooey dooey.
Doei doei.
You know. Where is Roseanne? Push the button.
Complete integration.
Complete integration. Yes, complete integration.
I'll do it. Push the button, sir. Push the button.
Okay, I'm going to push the button. I have to do it. I'm sorry, Roseanne. She's making me push the button.
Yes, I have to go make chocolate hummus.
Alrighty, we're going to have some chocolate hummus
That will
for
make them
lunch.
push very quick.
And yes, okie dokie. Bye-bye, all.
Bye.